Hi, I'm Laurel Mateyka. I'm the principal at PH Miller Elementary School and Preschool. I want to welcome you to our parent orientation. It's a virtual event, and so I thank you for taking time to listen to all the great things about our program and how to best prepare your child as they enter our program. First up, I want to introduce our staff. Cindy Heath is my secretary. Mary Lou is probably who you've already talked to many times about registration and so forth. And then Tammy Davis also works in our front office. So those are some familiar faces you might see when you come to visit the building or when you call us. We also do have a full-time school nurse, Kathy Kennedy, and a full-time school social worker, and both of those individuals support our preschool programs. So if your little one comes to preschool and maybe isn't feeling well, then you may get a call from Kathy Kennedy. If you have any concerns about your child's development or behavior, in addition to calling the teacher, you can certainly reach out to Colleen Kindlen, our social worker. She's got a wealth of information and knowledge about child development and can help you in meeting any needs you have for your child or your family. Our instructional program consists of additional support staff, including Brittany Pizzold, who's our instructional coach. She works with our teachers on how to best instruct the students. She helps us gather resources and things like that. Sherry Ratchford and David Kuros are our family support workers, and they may be reaching out to you about play groups, which will be done virtually this year. They might be talking to you about virtual home visits, or they may just be reaching out with parent education, parent events, family event flyers, and things like that. And they're a great resource if there's anything at all that you need. So they are assigned to separate classrooms, and I'm sure they'll be introducing themselves to you as students are assigned to the different teachers. Behind the scenes at PH Miller, we have Mr. John Miller, who's our head custodian, Katie Wolfhurst, and Carla Barr, who work in our kitchen right now. Our half-day students do not eat meals at school, but our full-day preschool students do eat breakfast and lunch. And so Katie and Carla are the kitchen staff that help to prepare those meals. This year, lunches and breakfasts are going to be eaten in the classroom in order to maintain social distancing and manage transitions and movement throughout the building. That's what our district has decided for pre-K through 6th grade is meals will be served in the classroom. So here's the lineup of our teachers and our paraprofessionals. For Mrs. Kickert, she'll be working with Mrs. Winter, and she's one of our half-day teachers, and they'll be working with the morning and afternoon sessions. Mrs. Klein and Mrs. Heller are full-day teachers and paraprofessional. Mrs. Less and Mrs. Ward also work in our half-day program. Mrs. Nicola and Mrs. Espinoza are half-day preschool teacher and paraprofessional. Mrs. Nicola also does teach our bilingual preschool class in the mornings. Mrs. Pizzold and Mrs. Mendez have one section, afternoon only, of preschool. Mrs. Scott and Ms. Hanson are full-day teacher and paraprofessional. And then Mrs. Shirley and Mrs. Gates, Mrs. Mosley, and Mrs. Yodelis all work in our early childhood instructional skills classroom. Our staff is also very highly qualified. We're very proud of their credentials. All of our teachers have their ESL endorsement and their special education endorsement. So they are very highly trained and very skilled at supporting all of our students and individualizing instruction and providing great support. So we've chosen an awesome program to commit to and be part of. And our staff is just the beginning of the great things that we have to offer to you and your children. As far as attendance is concerned, of course, this year everything is so different with the quarantine and the pandemic and now returning to school. So we are working in accordance with IDPH and the Kendall County Department of Public Health, Kendall County Health Department and Illinois Department of Public Health to manage our health and safety protocols. So our district nurse, Natalie Campbell, is our liaison to both of those organizations to make sure that our district is abiding by all the state and local expectations for health and safety and health management. So Obviously, we're offering an in-person experience for your children. Unfortunately, we can't offer 5 days a week in person because of the social distancing requirements, but we're very happy to offer 2 days in person. And so preschool attendance is crucial to your child's success now and in the future. We realize that we may have to go fully remote. We may have to open another section of virtual learning. Developmentally, it is best for our little ones to be on site, interacting with the adults and the students in the classroom. We've taken great care to keep our class sizes small, which is why we're offering the hybrid model, and we need to split our sections into two, the A group and the B group. So students who are assigned to the A day will attend in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Students who are assigned to the B group will attend on Wednesdays and Fridays in person. All students will be checking in with their teachers remotely on Mondays, and then on the days that students are not in person, we'll have a variety of activities and opportunities for your children to participate in on their own at home with your support, of course. So in-person attendance is really crucial because it allows our students to get to know the routines of a preschool, get to know their teachers and the paraprofessionals in the room, so that when and if we do have to go fully remote, those relationships are already established, and it makes it much easier for us to engage virtually with the students. We do ask that you are on time every day. And of course, if your child is sick, please keep them home. Obviously, we always ask you to keep them home if they're sick, but particularly now, because we don't want to take any chances on spreading any sorts of germs under these times, at these times in a pandemic. If your child does come to school and does show symptoms, especially those of COVID-19, we are going to go ahead and have our nurse, Kathy, check them out. We will be doing temperature screens at the beginning of each day and before meals if your child is in our full day program. So we're doing that just sort of as a safety net. You know, we all have, we do ask, of course, that you sign the self-certification, which you have before your child arrives. That's a one-time commitment that you're making to our staff, the other students, the other families, and our community by saying that you promise you're not going to send your child if they're sick. However, we know, and we've been doing this long enough, that sometimes kids are fine in the morning when they leave the house, but then the bus ride or even their symptoms develop as the day goes on. So rather than waiting, we're providing extra precautionary measures of just checking temperatures first thing in the morning and then again before meals for full day. So if a child has a fever over 100.0, which is our district protocol, they will be sent to the nurse where she'll do a more thorough temperature check and also symptom screen. And if it's determined that your child needs to go home, of course, we will call you. They won't return to class. They'll wait up front. We have a nice room where the students wait to be picked up, and then they'll be walked out to your car when you arrive to get them. So, and that's just really so that we can limit the contamination and any chance of children getting sick. So that's our assurance to you that we will take great care of the children here and making sure that any child with any illness or chance of illness has the opportunity to go home. And then we ask, you know, if you would like to please follow up with your child's care provider, pediatrician, physician, and so forth, just to make sure things are fine before they're going to be returned to school. If it is, our nurse will explain our COVID quarantine expectations, and those items are available on the district website. But if the student has COVID symptoms and determined that they need to be home for 14 days or 10 days, our nurse will explain all of that to you when your child is picked up. All right. Also, please notify not only us if your child is not able to come to school, but please notify the bus barn because we do offer door-to-door transportation. And so just as a courtesy for the driver and the other students on the route, if your child's not going to be in attendance, just call the bus barn and let them know so that they don't stop by the house. Here are some symptoms that you should be aware of. So if your child is exhibiting any of these things, please stay home. And it is quite an extensive list, but again, precautionary measures. And then if you do call in and share with the attendance office that your child is staying home with some of these symptoms, our nurse will call and follow up, just because it's our responsibility to the health department to track symptoms and report any of concern that may be expressed. So our nurse will explain more of that. So you see here the temperature of 100 degrees, cough, shortness of breath, chills, fatigue, body aches, headache, sore throat, congestion, nausea, vomiting, and so on. So those are symptoms of many, many childhood illnesses, but again, precautionary. Please keep your child home with these symptoms, and then our nurse will follow up. Arrival and dismissal. In addition to health safety, we always are looking for physical safety as well. And so arrival and dismissal is a pretty clean procedure, but student safety is our number one priority. We do not allow parents to park and walk their child up to the door. We have learned in years past, when that was the protocol, that there was a lot of risk of people getting hit by cars. The safety in the parking lot wasn't what it needed to be. So we've changed our procedures over the last several years, where we do curbside drop off and pickup. We do receive students at the front of the building who are parent driven to school or picked up. So at our main door, door 1, you can pull in that lot. Please line up. There will be signage, and line up along the curb at the front entrance. One of our paraprofessionals or the teacher will come out and help your child out of the vehicle. It is easier if your child's seat, car seat or booster seat, is on the passenger side of the vehicle, and then we can just open the door and then close the door, and you just pull away. And we ask that all families just stay in line and not go around vehicles in front of them, and just please be patient with each other. So we will do that. Upon pickup, you do need a car rider sign, and we'll be offering an opportunity next week to pick those up before the first day. If you're unable to make our pickup time, to get your signs before the first day of in-person attendance, then we will send that home with your child in their book bag. So no worries there, but you do need the car rider sign. It'll identify your child as a preschooler with their teacher's name and your child's name. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that when you pull up to pick your child up from school, that you have a school-issued sign, so that not just anyone can pull up with your child's name on the dashboard. So it's a school-issued sign. It identifies your child, and then we can load the right child into the vehicle. We can make you as many of those signs as you need. I know sometimes maybe you're busy and sending someone else. We want to make sure everybody does have that school-issued sign in their car on their dashboard when they come to pick the child up. If they don't, not a big deal. We will slow down the process of releasing the child, however, and we'll ask that adult to please show us their ID. We'll call into the office and check and make sure that person is authorized to pick up your child. If they're not, or we're not sure, we will give the parent a call. And so we ask your patience in that. I know sometimes people come and they don't have that sign, and it's frustrating. But again, your child's safety is our number one priority. And so we would never want to release a child to an unauthorized adult. And so please work with us on that. And honestly, the best way to do that is to just request as many signs as you think you may need, and keep one in every vehicle that might be used for picking up the child. So grandmas and grandpas can have that sign in their glove compartment, and then in case of an emergency, it's there if they need to pick the child up. But we give those to you, the parent, and then you may give them out as you see fit. And so if you need additional signs, just let the teacher know or call our front office, and we can send those home. All right. On the bus, again, we do door-to-door pickup. Our buses drop off behind our school building, and so please certify that your child doesn't have a temperature before they get on the bus. We ask that every day. And then if you have any questions about transportation, pickup time, drop-off time, or so on, please call Gretchen, our Director of Transportation. Also, please be sure that someone is there to meet your student when they are dropped off at the end of the day. If the driver is not sure that there's an adult present, they will not leave a preschool child at a house without seeing an adult to let them into the house. So I know we have had occasion where maybe uncle or grandma is watching the child but fell asleep on the couch. And so then we would bring the student back to school and we would call you, the parent, and say, hey, no one was there to meet the child. And so then the person responsible would have to come pick the child up at school or something like that. So just let who's ever meeting your child at the end of the day and caring for them know that our driver may, if they don't see that adult present, then may not drop the child at the door, again, as a safety precaution. So please feel free to let me know if you have questions about that. All right, so obviously simple bus rules. Students have to wear a mask. It's considered a moving classroom. So just like at school, students will be wearing a mask. We don't allow food and drink on the bus. And then we don't have toys coming to and from school, especially now. In the case of the pandemic, we do not want home items brought to school. And we really won't be sending items from school home unless they are items for you to keep. So please keep home toys at home. Remind your child just to stay seated, wear their seatbelt. Every preschool bus has a driver and then does have another adult on the bus to help students get buckled up and be safe. Be ready for pickup early. I know sometimes the mornings come early, but just early is better in case a student called in sick and then that person's not getting picked up. Your bus might arrive a little bit earlier. So just be out there, with 10 minutes-ish before, 5-10 minutes before and after the time before you start to get panicked. And then have a designated adult who's going to take the child to the bus door and meet the bus after school, just as I said. Daily snacks are typically provided to our students. We are still determining from a safety standpoint if we're going to serve those snacks in the classroom for the half-day program, or if we're going to provide snacks for the students to take home. So your child's teacher will provide more information about snacks once we have finalized that plan. We do, when we provide snacks, especially if we decide to do them during program, we offer a variety of items, and we always have a beverage for the students to drink. We encourage them to learn pouring on their own. So it's not individual serving size. This year, because of the pandemic and the health and not sharing items, most likely our snacks will be individualized servings that are just for your child. So no family style, no shared food items. And then snacks are being offered with mask procedures. So if we decide to serve in class, of course, they'll be sitting in their individual spot. They will, of course, have to remove their mask and then eat their snack. So this is what we're still just determining now as a program. If we do not offer snacks in program, we will offer snacks for the students to take home. And we do not do food or treats, and that's not just this year, but all the time, and that includes for K1 as well. We do not do food items as treats for birthdays or celebrations. We're recognized as a bronze status healthy school, and one of the requirements is that rewards are not food-based. And so we're very proud that we've earned that status. We're the only school right now in the district with that recognition, and we're really only one of 5 schools in all of Illinois with that recognition from Healthy Schools. So part of that is that we're rewarding and celebrating with non-food items, okay? So that's part of the rationale for why we don't allow those. So what does your child need to be successful in preschool? Well, first of all, of course, this year, your child will need a mask that they will wear every day, and they will not have to wear it outside, and they would not have to wear it during mealtime. So for full day students, they will be removing that mask to eat their lunch and to eat breakfast. They just need a regular size backpack. Gym shoes, if you want to send gym shoes, would be kept in their backpack. They are also certainly able to wear gym shoes every day. This year, we're asking that you have shoes that your child can take on and off because maintaining the 6-foot social distancing is going to be difficult if our teachers or parapros need to get down and tie shoes. So we're trying to minimize contact and exposure. So Velcro would be awesome and preferred if you haven't bought shoes yet. Definitely a change of clothes to be kept in your child's backpack and in a gallon Ziploc bag with your child's name written right on that. So please include shirt, pants, underwear, socks, and an extra mask. I know our kinders have already started, and first meal out of the gate, breakfast on the first day, and somebody spills milk and it gets on their mask, and now someone's crying because they don't have a clean Spider-Man mask. And so if you could just send an extra mask along with that change of clothes, that would be great. And it's familiar from home. Obviously, we do have some extra masks. They're not fun masks. They're just the ones you would buy at Walgreens. And so we will always have extra for a child who forgets or needs a new one. But of course, as we all know, they feel so much more comfortable when it's a familiar item from home. So just include that in the Ziploc bag as part of their change of clothing. And please just label all of the home items that you would send in. So all of their clothing items, just with a Sharpie, if you could label that, that would be helpful. Sometimes those things do get mixed up, probably less so this year because we have so few students attending in person each day. But labeling is always the safest bet to make sure that your child's clothes get returned to your child. And then we will also provide a take-home folder to you. It's a purple folder. That's a communication device that you can send notes to us. We can send their artwork that they've done, put that in the folder, send it home, and you can keep that, okay? Don't forget to check the backpack. So every day that your child's in person, of course, we're going to send home information that might be crucial for you to know. I will tell you that this year we're going to limit the amount of paper that goes home, partly for contact and minimizing sharing of items from home and school. So a lot of our communications will be electronic this year via Schoology, email, our new ThrillShare parent messaging through the district. Couple things while I'm thinking about it. The ThrillShare is a new alert system, and we are learning that for some families, the messages that are being sent district-wide or building-wide are going to junk or spam. So typically, I will always post information on our district website, through a parent email, and on social media. If I'm sending an email blast to all preschool parents, let's just say, I will use that alert system, and I will also then go on our live feed and social media and say, hey, PH Miller Preschool parents, please be sure to check your email for an important message. This is how I know some of these messages are going to spam, because I will do that, and I've had parents call and say, hey, you said we were going to get an email. I didn't get it. I can check our data and our analytics, and the messaging system says, yes, you did get it. And then we look in the junk and, oh, there it is. So as soon as you see it in a junk, you can mark it as this is not junk mail, and then that shouldn't continue to happen. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So communication will be primarily through Schoology, and your teachers will be sending access codes for your accounts. But social media, so Plano 88 website, social media, and then also we have a Plano 88 app. So I highly encourage you to have as many sources of receiving information as possible, especially this year. And of course, since we're not sure, are we gonna have to go back to fully remote like the governor did last spring? Will we stay in this model? So just so we have all of our bases covered. Email to the teacher is always a great way to get information and communicate, and always a phone call too. But the apps will get you the program-wide information that I send out that might get kicked over to junk. Here are some things we are going to teach the students this year. Oops. We're going to teach them to be safe, to wear their masks, wash hands, hands and feet to self. We do have markings in the floor. We're the PH Miller Panthers, so we have paw prints all over our building, and they are spaced 6 feet apart. So we're going to ask students, hey, make sure you're on your paw print to keep your social distance. And so we'll be teaching that and reviewing the procedures and routines. Again, we've had great success so far with our kindergartners and first graders doing all of these things with perfection right out of the gate. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm not really surprised, but I'm very happy to see that it's going extremely well and students understand why we're doing this. As I said in my mask video, which if you haven't seen it, please look for it on our website. We're all superheroes and we're all keeping each other safe because that's what superheroes do. Superheroes wear masks like Batman, Spider-Man, we all wear masks. And so we're doing that to keep each other safe and to fight this virus because, superheroes fight things that aren't good. And so we're fighting the virus. We're wearing our masks because we're superheroes and we're doing that to keep each other safe. We'll also talk about being respectful, following directions, listening to authority figures, everything you're already doing at home. And then how to be responsible by doing what's expected and telling the truth. So those are some of the skills that we work on in preschool. We focus on social emotional growth, so kids how to help themselves, getting along with others. We, of course, work on motor skills. We have a fabulous brand new playground and lots of new equipment for this year. Running, jumping, holding pencils and scissors are some of the fine motor skills we work on. Of course, we work on listening skills, language skills, talking and listening, and then math and literacy, pre-academics, and then some of the other areas of academics like science, social studies, and the arts. We have a fabulous kinder music program that's brand new for preschool this year, so we're very excited to share that with our kids and with our families. Our family support workers have special resources for family engagement around music, and so keep your eye out for coming programs for entire families and for parents, okay? Some of the social skills that we work on in preschool include getting along with others, following directions, identifying your own emotions and behavior, and regulating that. So knowing that, oh, I'm angry. And okay, now that I know I'm angry, what do I do? Oh, I could take some deep breaths, or I can go sit somewhere else and take a break, or I can go get a drink of water, some different things. So a lot of strategies, but identifying your emotions when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're happy, all of that, seeing it in yourself and also in others. And then thinking of appropriate solutions if we have conflict with a peer. So if there's not going to be as much sharing in preschool this year, however, we will have socially distanced playground time. And so someone's on a swing and I want to swing, I have to wait my turn, or I have to wait till tomorrow. Or he's first in line, I want to be first in line. Oh, well, how do we resolve that conflict, right? So those are all things that we work on in preschool. And then how to keep ourselves and each other safe. All pre-Ks. So hopefully this sounds like your child. If not, maybe they're above what most preschoolers are doing. But most preschoolers are still learning how to share. So it's mine. This is going to look new, but we're going to be rotating toys. Obviously, we can't share them, and we have limited baby dolls, for example. So maybe this week, Johnny and Susie get to play with the baby dolls. Well, next week, somebody else is going to play with those because we can sanitize them and we can give them to a new set of students. So you may not get to play with all of your favorite toys every single week, but sometimes you will get that turn. So learning how to share and take turns is going to look different in the pandemic, but we're still going to be working on those skills. And then accepting their position in line, always a big deal. Like I want to be first or I want to be at the end. So making sure that they can accept their position in line and how to do that. Keeping their bodies to themselves. Obviously, this year we have some help with that as far as the panther paws throughout our building and markings on the floor for social distancing. And so we will be continuing to work on personal space and then controlling impulses. a skill that lots of us are still working on, sometimes even as adults. And so, just how, when you get angry right now, how do we handle it? Maybe not, we don't hit our friend, we don't throw a toy. And if that's our first response, okay, then we can have a conversation. All right, next time, what can we do different? And how should we handle that? And our teachers are super skilled at recognizing students who need a little extra support in those areas and providing that and getting to a point where they are starting to improve in those areas and recognizing when they're getting upset, and then also knowing how to express their emotions appropriately. Here are some of the typical responses that we would see in preschool, and you probably have seen at home. And so when kids get frustrated, angry, and some of these stronger emotions, of course, we do see crying, shouting, screaming, pushing, shoving, kicking, hitting, biting, arguing, not listening. We do see kids sometimes throw items and leave the area. So the reason those two responses have stars are because those are the ones that provide us the most concern for a student's safety. So obviously, if a child responds to being corrected or responds to being frustrated by throwing things or pushing chairs over or being very physically aggressive, that causes us some concern for the child's safety, but for the safety of the other students in the classroom as well. Leaving an area. So you know your child. So when you correct your child or you say, hey, you need to stop doing this, or Susie, come back here, and they run the other direction, that's a cause for concern from a safety standpoint at a school building because the student doesn't know where they're going. We have doors to the outside. Luckily, our preschool wing is pretty secure. None of the exits in the preschool wing go out to a street. They each go to a yard that is fenced in and locked. So we just want the children to know that they can't leave and run as a response to frustration, because that is a safety concern. So if your child does do either of those two things, throwing items when they get upset or running from you when you're trying to correct them or discipline them, it's very important that you let the teacher know so that we can be proactive in managing your child's emotions and setting them up for great success in our program. So we would, for example, a child who runs when they get corrected, we wouldn't put that child seated closest to the door, right? Because we would want to see them. Oh, they look like they're getting upset. All right, if they're seated further from the door, we can kind of get between them and the door and help them process through an appropriate response to that frustration. So please just work with your child's teacher on any behaviors that you may have concerns about that may cause some safety concerns here at school. Some of the ways you can help before they even come to our class, and then once they are here, practice wearing that mask at home. That is not something that is easy for any of us to do. And so if they haven't had that exposure to wearing a mask, please at least let them try it on. I would highly recommend that you let them go and pick it out with you, just like they do their backpack and maybe their school clothes. And so let them pick it out, let them wear it. If they really can only handle it for a minute, that's okay. Try for a minute today, work up to 5 minutes, work up to a little more time. It will be easier, if believe it or not, for them when they're here to wear their mask, because all of the adults are wearing masks and all of the other students will be wearing masks. So it's been very simple for our kinders. None of them have really had a problem with it unless it gets wet or something happens like that. So keeping the masks on has been pretty easy for our students. We do have some students in our school and in our district who have health reasons for why wearing a mask is not appropriate. And so you may see, or your child may see, another child who isn't wearing a mask. Those students typically are grouped together in one classroom, and the adults working with them, all the parents know, and the adults working with them are geared up differently than our other staff. So they have full PPE, they do have face shields and the masks and gloves and things like that to limit their exposure. So for our regular programming, what most children are attending, that is not the case. The students and the adults will all be wearing face masks. If you have a question or a concern about that, please reach out to me or your child's teacher, and we can talk more through that. But students in our blended preschool classrooms and on our full-day preschool classrooms are expected to wear their masks, and our students and teachers in those classes will all be wearing masks. It would be in the instructional skills class with Mrs. Shirley that students may not be wearing a mask, okay? Something else you can do that is very helpful to us that we've learned through the years is please hold your child accountable for expected behavior. It's always difficult when students come to our program and they have not learned the word no at home. So unfortunately, when we have, this year it'll be up to 8 students in a classroom. In years past, of course, we've had up to 20 in a class. This year it will only be up to 8 and never more than 10. But having additional kids in the classroom, sometimes there is going to be, no, you can't do that, or no, it's not time for centers right now. Now we're doing whole group, or we're doing circle time, or something else, or it's time to come inside off the playground. So it always goes better when kids have been limited on their choices at home first. So when we say no, it's not the first time they're hearing it, because there are going to be times when we do have to tell children no. And children react differently if they've heard that before from mom and dad versus that's the first time they've ever been told no. So please help us in that regard. And then also maintaining consequences. So if our teachers say, okay, you didn't pick up the blocks, so now tomorrow, that's not a choice. You're not going to get to play with blocks. Or I told you that you need to go clean that up before you get to do this, and you didn't clean that up, so you can't do this. So we will maintain those consequences. So if you could also maintain the consequences that you may give at home, if you tell your child that they have to clean up before they can do something else, and then you let them do something else while they're still a mess, that makes our job harder, and that also makes it harder for your child, because we will make sure that we maintain our consequences, and then they'll be confused because they think, well, at home, I get told I have to do this, but I don't do it, and I still get to do what I want, but at school, they're making me do it anyway. So just to help your child not be confused and understand that when an adult says, do this before you do that, then that's what we have to do. So again, our family support workers can provide information on how to maintain consequences at home if that's a challenge for you. Your child's teacher can give you some tips and tricks of the trade on how to do that so that it's a successful experience at home. So please reach out if you've tried to do that and kind of given up in frustration, or if that hasn't been something that's been easy for you to do as a parent. We can help you with that. Some self-help skills, it would be beneficial for your child to know how to put their mask on and off on their own, just because you don't want our staff touching your child's personal belongings if we don't have to. Of course, we are going to help your child. We're not going to let them struggle throughout the day. But the more independent they can be, 1, the more confidence they build, and 2, the safer it is for them because they're taking care of their own personal needs. Bathroom independence is pretty critical this year. If they're not completely potty trained, typically we would change diapers. This year we are asking you to send them in a pull-up. We would typically work on potty training at school, but because of the body fluids and the health precautions that we're required to observe, we're asking for the pull-up this year. Typically, we would allow accidents in the classroom without any concern. This year, it's a little bit more. We would have to evacuate the classroom, and there's special cleaning protocols, so it will just be easier if a pull-up can be used. And we can give tips, and there's worksheets and guides and books and kits on potty training at home. If you would like those, please reach out to our family support workers, David or Sherry. Snaps, coats, buttons, any of that, zippers, practice those. Those are great fine motor skills and life skills to practice with your child at home, and helps the getting ready to go home and arriving at school goes a lot faster when students are independent. So please practice those. On those remote days when your child's not in session, let them do it. We all know it's much easier for the grown-ups to come in and do all those things, zip the backpack, button their coat, and we can get out of the house in 5 minutes. It might take us a half an hour if we are waiting for our child to do those things. But I promise you, our teachers are encouraging them to do those things on their own, which is why our dismissal needs to start early so we can encourage them and build those skills and build that independence. So we understand, moms and dads, and sometimes you just have to do it because you don't have time to wait. But as much as you can, please give your kids the opportunity to do those things on their own. And then it's really important for your child to know their first and last name, especially when they're asked. So, hey, are you Johnny Smith? I don't know, so if they can recognize their first and last name, if they can say it, that's even better. We don't expect that, but at least if they recognize it when they hear it, that's beneficial, especially in the early days when we don't know all the students yet. Of course, you want to read with your child at home every day. Talk about the story. Let your child retell the story to you. Those are great literacy skills that build language and literacy skills and get them ready for more academics as they go into kinder and first grade. Talk to your child all the time. You can just narrate your life because you're building background knowledge. I mean, you would call out, oh, look at the red stop sign using color, word, shape. It's an octagon. Look it, we always have to stop when we're in the car and we see a stop sign. That means stop. Talking about anything and everything is a great way to reinforce language development. The more vocabulary your child builds, the better their score on the ACT. And I know we're not talking about that and on the SAT yet, but at some point, the work you put in now has huge payoff as your child gets older and is learning in school. Use precise language. There's a difference between a monkey and a gorilla. There's a difference between a German Shepherd and a Labrador. The more specific you can get with your language, the more vocabulary you build. So yes, a German Shepherd and a Labrador, they are both dogs. We could call them dog. So your child learns one word. We could also say, oh, look at that dog. That's a German Shepherd. Now that's 2 words. Oh, look at that dog. That dog's a Labrador. That's 3 words. Very simple. So the more information you can give to your child, the bigger their vocabulary gets, and the more ready they are to read stories with lots of different words and understand many more academic concepts. So use precise language. If it's a Labrador, call it that. If it's a gorilla, call it a gorilla, not a monkey, and things like that. Please check Schoology for the important information and assignments. And again, as I said, your teachers will be sending out more information about that. And then please join the Zoom meetings when those are scheduled. That's an opportunity for you to interact synchronously live with the teacher and for your child to do the same and to see the other classmates and the other parents. Here are some ways you're going to know what's going on. The classroom newsletter, the monthly and building newsletters from the program and the building, notes, phone calls, emails, and you can always send a note or an email or message through Schoology or phone call if that works better. So please keep in touch with us. Effective communication, we want to assume the best intentions. Sometimes if your child comes home and says, I don't know, Johnny hit me, and it's common and very natural parent instinct to get extremely upset. Why is a child hitting my child? So And sometimes parents will fire off an email with a 3 to 5 year old's version of what happened. So just please reach out to the teacher first, because it's likely that the teacher witnessed it. And if they did, they may have already contacted you about it. If they didn't contact you, there could be a variety of reasons. One, they just haven't had time to get to you before your child got home. Two, they may not have witnessed it, which is why it's important for you to let the teacher know. Or three, it's been handled and wasn't what your child said it was, right? So reach out to the teacher and say, hey, Johnny came home and he said that he got hit today. Do you have any more information about that? Or do you know what might have happened? And then work with the teacher to get to the bottom of it and how was it resolved? That's really important. And I have had parents, not so many preschool parents, but other parents say, well, this has been happening for weeks and we thought we would just let the child handle it on their own, or we thought it wouldn't continue. And I do appreciate that perspective, and I do appreciate you allowing your child to see if it gets resolved. My only caution with that is sometimes it doesn't get resolved, and then you're calling me 3 weeks later, and what unfortunately has happened through no one's fault is that the child who's been constantly doing this to your son or daughter now has been doing it without correction from an adult for 3 weeks. And so to me, it's just easier if something happens to know right away. The kids are little and we're working in partnership. So it's just easier if you can let us know, and then maybe we would address it with the child the next day. Hey, I heard that you were hitting Johnny. Why did you do that? And then the child who was the offender and hitting knows, oh, I can't get away with that. That's not allowed at school. We can also let that child's parent know what happened. And any parent would rather know on the first time than to think their child is doing something unexpected for weeks. So just please call us, sooner the better, and work with your child's teacher. And we usually just follow the chain of command. First go to the teacher. They're with your child all day. I'm not. So they would have the most information. If you can't come to an agreement or you don't feel like, you got the resolution you wanted, absolutely, please call me. And then maybe I can investigate more. We can figure out, all right, what needs to happen next. Certainly, I usually have quite a good success rate if I'm working with parents to have issues resolved here with the teacher and in the school without it having to go further. But certainly if you're not happy with something that's going on, absolutely call the district office if we're not meeting your needs. The other thing I would say is be careful what you read on social media, and please be careful what you post on social media. If you have a true concern that you want a solution for, you're really going to need to contact me because I can't solve it if I don't know about it. And oftentimes I'm not on most community social groups. So you need to come to me if it's something that you really want addressed. And I would ask you to respect our program, our teachers, the parents in it, and not be out there spreading negative commentary about our program unless you've already talked to me and we've not been able to come to an agreement. So please bring concerns to me first if you would. And then also be mindful that social media, there's always more than one side to a story in every case, and especially on social media. So if somebody posts something that's of concern to you, definitely let me know. I will follow up on most social media posts that I'm aware of, just to make sure that I can address it with the parent and say, hey, I understand you might have some concerns. It was reported that this is on social media. Is there anything I can do to address your concerns? So just be mindful. And then home visits, we do love to do home visits, and it's really just an opportunity for us to be in your child's space. They're with us all the time on our site, and so kids love to show us everything in their home. Unfortunately, this year, we're not going to be able to do those in person because of the pandemic and because of safety, but we would love to do that virtually. And with Zoom, we're in your home all the time. And I guess that's a good reminder that when we're in a synchronous setting like a Zoom meeting, we are in your house. We see what's going on. We hear what's going on. So just be mindful of that as well. And so I've had more people in my house the last 5 months virtually than ever before. And so it's made me very aware that I need to update my decor. So anyhow, we would be giving you more information about home visits and what that might look like as we move forward through the year. Our teachers and our aides do that. It's not really a conference. It's more just to kind of hear like, hey, what are some of your goals for your child, for your family? How can we support you and assist you in reaching those goals? And we do ask that a caretaker be present for those. So more to come on home visits this year. We love to have family participation. Again, we're working on being very creative for how to allow you to participate in your child's education with our preschool program. We typically request that you participate in 4 events a year. If you're listening to this orientation, that counts as 1. If you are participating in Zoom meetings, that's going to be another event. If you decide to do a read aloud and share that with your child's class and you videotape that, that's another way to participate. So please watch the newsletters for information about how you can be involved more than just sending your child to school. And so, we definitely do want you. This just kind of highlights again the 4 events that we'd love to have you participate in. We're going to be limiting the volunteer opportunities, but if you have a creative way to be involved, please share it. We'd love to share that with other families and talk to your child's teacher. I do want you to know that there is a school activity leave law and Family First Coronavirus Response Act, and so we'll make those things available on our website. But really what the school leave law says is your employer, if you are working, is required by law to allow you to participate in parent-teacher conferences, in IEP meetings, and in other specified events that are sponsored by your child's school. So you cannot lose your job for participating in those, and we will provide you a written note that, yep, you were on our site in this event for this time period on this date, so that it's kind of like a note from the school to give to your employer to confirm that you were there. And that is a law. So we will make that published to you on our website. So please find a copy of it and let us know if we can help you if your employer is not allowing you to be involved in your child's education. There's a lot of research says that parent involvement improves academic outcomes for kids. And so it's critical that your employer support you in being involved in your child's education. So last but not least, we definitely want to thank you for choosing the PH Miller Preschool for your child. We want to thank you for working with us to get your child off on their educational career in a great way. We are a gold-rated program. We're very proud of that rating. It is the highest rating we can get as a preschool program. And so we do offer the highly qualified staff, individualized instruction, play-based learning, developmentally appropriate practices, and an awesome setting with great resources. So let us know. I will be also scheduling 10 o'clock on Friday morning interactive parent meetings. So anytime you're going to have any questions, please feel free to jump onto those, email the teacher, let us know what we can do better, and always let us know what we're doing well. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing the children next week. Have a great night.